We operate under a baseline assumption that the modern world is a triumph of reason. We expect our hospitals, our courts, and our universities to be driven entirely by science and cold logic. But look past the fluorescent lights and the brushed steel, and you find that these spaces are still governed by rituals that have no basis in science. Judges hand down verdicts while draped in archaic black robes. Scientists accept their degrees in medieval gowns. Medical staff move through rigid, ceremonial hierarchies that feel more like a priesthood than a workplace. This pattern emerged as hospitals and courts moved from the control of the church to the control of the state. It was a transition that created a massive problem for the new secular authorities. A newly formed government or corporation cannot easily command the same level of instinctive trust that people once gave to divine authority. That level of reverence had to be found elsewhere. The evidence suggests that instead of reinventing authority from scratch, modern institutions simply retained the shell of the sacred order, adopting its rituals to maintain the same level of public obedience. The most visible way to signal this inherited authority is through clothing. Many of our most respected professional uniforms are direct descendants of religious habits. This historical ward shows the original role of the hospital. These are literal nuns, members of monastic orders who provided spiritual and physical healing as part of their religious duty. As medicine became a secular profession, the religious habit was tailored into a sterile uniform. The traditional nurse's cap you see here is a vestige of the nun's coif, a religious head covering that survived the transition into the clinic. The silhouette of the Catholic priest's black cassock provides the blueprint for the legal system. When a judge enters a courtroom today, they are wearing a direct evolution of this priestly garment. Academia followed a similar path. When secular sciences replaced theology in the great universities, the scholars kept the monastic gowns worn by medieval theologians. These garments are effective because they function below the level of logic. They trigger deeply ingrained historical instincts of submission that have been passed down for centuries. This architectural engineering extends beyond clothing. The physical environments of secular power are designed to mirror the layout of a temple. In a modern courtroom, the seating geometry is deliberate. It forces the public into a lower position, requiring everyone to look up at the judge. This raised bench is a physical substitute for the altar, the sacred space where divine judgment was traditionally proclaimed to the congregation. Even the gavel serves a ritual function. It is an instrument used to permanently seal the word, echoing ancient temple rites where a hammer blow signaled that a decree was final. By standing before a raised bench and waiting for the strike of a wooden hammer, we are participating in a physical performance of reverence toward the state. Beyond physical space, secular authorities also co-opted the language of the sacred to maintain their organizational hierarchies. Hospitals retained the specific titles of spiritual leaders. The Mother Superior was transformed into the corporate matron, a role that preserved her ceremonial authority and the dread she commanded. We see it in the courtroom when a witness gives testimony. The word comes from testis, the act of bearing witness strictly under an oath to God. This is why the Bible remains a fixture in the modern courtroom. It is a hollow visual prop, used to extract truth through a religious gesture, even while the system claims its own legal authority is supreme. The state preserves this vocabulary because it makes secular laws feel like unbendable moral imperatives. This pattern of visual, architectural, and linguistic overlap reveals a systematic transfer of power, a sacred to secular capture. This is a map of that transition. Clinical medicine took the place of the sacraments, state law replaced divine law, and the sciences pushed out theology. Because the outer framework, the shell of authority, remained static, the underlying shift in power was almost impossible to register. We obey modern doctors, judges, and professors because their authority taps into centuries of religious conditioning. It feels natural because it looks like the old sacred order. We are not living in a purely rational society. We are surrounded by ancient religious machinery that has been repurposed by the state to ensure we still know exactly how to bow.